I never imagined becoming a mother like this. I never thought I would have to raise my child on my own. But life doesn't ask for our permission. Simply moves forward. My name is Isabella. When I was 24, I met a man named James. At that time I was working in a shoe store near the bus stop. Every evening after work I walked home. One evening it began to rain. I didn't have an umbrella, so I ran to a small shop and stood under its roof. James was already there. He looked at me and smiled. "Terrible weather," he said. "Yes," I replied. "I'm completely soaked." He chuckled and handed me a towel from his bag. I said, "Thank you." We started chatting. It was a simple conversation, but I felt a sense of warmth inside. When the rain stopped, we walked together. He asked if he could see me again, and I said yes. That was how it all began. That night, he told me he worked part-time as a delivery man. He was saving money and hoping to find a better job. He said he wanted to start a family one day. He made me feel secure. After a few months, I moved in with him. I believed he truly cared about me. I thought I was fortunate. I cleaned the house, cooked meals, and supported him in every way I could. He didn't have much money, but that didn't bother me. I believed we were going to build a future together. Then one day I began to feel odd. I felt sick every morning. I was constantly tired. I went to the clinic. The nurse smiled and said, "You're going to be a mother." I felt nervous but also happy. I hurried home and told James. He looked at me and stayed silent for a long time. Then he said, "Okay, that's fine." But after that day he changed. He stopped speaking to me at night. He began staying out later. He said he was tired. I believed him. I said, "It's okay. I understand." I didn't want to argue. I thought he just needed some time. I kept working until my belly grew large. My back ached. My feet were sore. Still I continued working. James didn't help at home. He said he was busy. I cooked meals and did the laundry. Cleaned the floors. I went to bed late and woke up early. He never asked how I was feeling. When my son was born, I cried. He was tiny and soft. His skin was pink. I named him Leo. He looked like me. I held him close and whispered, "I will always take care of you." James came to the hospital. He held Leo for just 1 minute, then gave him back. He said he had to leave. I thought he was going to work, but later I found out he had gone to see his friends. When I returned home, I was completely exhausted. Leo cried during the night. I carried him in my arms. Fed him. I sang to him. James slept in another room. He said the baby's crying made him tired. One night I woke up to feed Leo. The bed next to me was empty. James was gone. Waited. Called him. His phone was off. In the morning I found a note on the table. It said, "I can't do this. I'm sorry." I read the note over and over again. I sat on the floor and held Leo close. I felt my heart break. I was alone. I didn't know what to do. I had no family nearby. My parents lived far away. I didn't want to call them. I didn't want to make them worry. One of my friends helped me sometimes, but she had her own responsibilities. I had to stay strong. I returned to work when Leo was just 3 months old. I asked a neighbor to look after him during the day. I paid her a small amount. I took the bus to work. I stood on my feet all day. My legs ached. My eyes felt heavy. But I still smiled at people and said, "How can I help you?" Again and again. At night I returned home. Picked up Leo. I kissed his tiny face. He smiled at me. That smile gave me strength. I whispered to him, "It's just you and me now." One day after work, I went to the store to buy milk. I was standing in line when I saw James. He was laughing with a woman. She was tall with long hair. She held his arm. They looked happy. He saw me. His smile disappeared. He looked at Leo in my arms. Then he turned around and walked away. He didn't say hello. He didn't ask about his son. He just left. That night I sat on my bed. I thought about that woman. I thought about how James smiled at her. I asked myself, why did he choose her? Why did he leave me when I needed him the most? But deep down I already knew the answer. He didn't want to be a father. He didn't want to stay when life became difficult. He wanted things to be easy. And I wasn't part of that easy life. That night I stopped crying. I stopped asking why. I told myself, you are strong. You can handle this. I looked at Leo sleeping in his tiny bed. He needed me. And that was all that truly mattered. I worked every single day. I saved every small coin I could. I bought second-hand clothes for Leo. Cooked simple meals. I never went out. I didn't spend money on myself. But Leo always had what he needed. One day during lunch break at work, my manager saw me reading English words. She asked, "Are you trying to learn?" I said, "Yes, I want to help my son with his schoolwork in the future," I replied. She smiled and said, "Keep going. You're doing great." That one word, great, made me want to try even harder. Time moved on. Leo grew. He began to walk. He began to laugh. He called me mama and held my hand. People sometimes said, "You look tired." I just smiled and answered, "I'm fine." Because I truly was fine. I didn't have a man by my side, but I had my son. I had the strength to keep going, and that was enough. Before I share the rest of my story, I want to know, where are you listening from? Knowing that someone hears me, that someone understands me, it gives me strength. One morning, I looked at Leo and noticed how much he had grown. His hair was thick and dark, just like mine. His eyes were full of light and energy. He ran around the small room and laughed as I tried to catch him. It was noisy. It was messy. But it was joy. He was now 3 years old. He liked toy cars, picture books, and warm soup. He never asked about his father. He only knew me. I was his entire world, and he was mine. I worked 6 days a week. My neighbors still helped with Leo, but only during the daytime. In the evenings, I came home and gave him a bath. I read him the same story every night. He loved the one about the red truck. Sometimes I was too tired to read, but when he looked at me and said, "Just once, Mama," I always said yes. We didn't have much. Our apartment was small. The walls were old. The table had a broken leg. But it was clean. It was warm. It was ours. One Sunday I took Leo to the park. He ran toward the swings. I pushed him gently. He laughed and shouted, "Hi, Mama." I smiled, though my hands felt tired. I looked around. I saw other children with both their parents. A woman held a baby while her husband handed a toy to their older child. They laughed together. I felt something deep in my chest. Not anger. Not sadness. Just a quiet feeling of being alone. Later we sat on the grass. I gave Leo some crackers. A woman nearby smiled and said, "Your boy is very cute." "Thank you," I replied. She had kind eyes. She asked, "Is your husband here too?" I paused for a moment, then said, "No, it's just us." She nodded. "You're doing a good job. I can tell." I didn't know what to say. Her words stayed with me. Weeks passed. I kept working, cleaning, and saving. I didn't go out with friends. I didn't buy new clothes. Every coin I saved was for Leo's future. For his school, for shoes, for lunchboxes. Then one night something unexpected happened. I was on the bus heading home after work. I sat by the window, holding a small bag of vegetables. The bus stopped near the train station. A man got on. I looked up and saw James. My chest turned cold. He walked past me, laughing into his phone. He didn't notice me. He looked different. New clothes. Fresh haircut. He sat at the back of the bus. I wanted to move. I wanted to get off. But I stayed. I thought about our past. The night he left. The note he wrote. I thought about Leo and his smile. When the bus stopped again, James stood up. He saw me. He froze. I looked at him. He looked back. He opened his mouth. But I turned my face toward the window. He didn't say a word. He walked past me and got off the bus. When I got home, Leo was already asleep. I sat beside him on the bed. I touched Leo's tiny fingers and whispered, "You are enough." A week later, I received a message on my phone. "Hi, it's James. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't reply. But the next evening I saw him standing outside my building. He was waiting near the gate, holding a paper bag. He looked unsure. "Hi, Isabella," he said softly. "I just wanted to see you. What do you want?" asked my voice low. I was wrong," he said. "I left because I was scared. I didn't know how to be a father." "You didn't even try," I replied. He lowered his head. "I know. I was weak." He held out the bag. "These are some clothes for Leo. I didn't take them before." "Does he even know who you are?" I asked. "No," he admitted. "But I want to be part of his life now." I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I said, "He has a life. He laughs. He plays. He sleeps peacefully. You weren't there for the hard parts." "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Can I see him?" I shook my head. "Not now. Maybe one day. But not now." He nodded slowly. "Okay. I understand." He left the bag by the gate and walked away. I stood there for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just felt quiet. I picked up the bag and went inside. Inside were some new shirts, a small toy car, and a letter. I didn't read the letter. I placed it in a box and put it on the top shelf. The next morning Leo saw the toy car. He held it in his hands and asked, "New car?" "Yes," I said. "It's yours." "From you?" he asked. "Yes," I smiled. I didn't tell him anything else. Because Leo didn't need stories. He needed love. That day at work I felt stronger. I helped a customer carry a heavy bag. I cleaned the floor without being asked. Smiled more. I stood taller. I was a mother. And that was enough. Life didn't suddenly become easy. Bills still came. Leo still got sick sometimes. Work was still tiring. But my heart wasn't heavy anymore. I didn't wait for James. I didn't need his apology. Because I had something better. I had Leo. And I had myself. Time passed quickly. Leo turned 5. He started going to a small school near our apartment. Every morning I packed his lunch and walked him to school. He always waved before walking in. "Bye, Mama," he'd say with a smile. That small smile made every tired day worth it. After dropping him off, I went to work. I still had the same job. It wasn't easy, but I was grateful. I worked with care. I never missed a day. Leo needed so much: food, shoes, books, clothes. Some days, I had only a little money left. But I always made sure Leo had everything he needed. One evening, we sat on the floor for dinner. We ate simple food, rice and soup. Leo looked at me and asked, "Mama, where is my papa?" My hand froze. I looked at him. Something cracked inside, but I didn't let it show. "Your papa lives far away," I said. "Does he come to school?" he asked. "No," I said gently. "He doesn't live here." "Why?" he asked again. I smiled a little. Sometimes people leave. But I didn't leave. "I'm here with you." He thought for a moment and said, "That's okay. I have you." I kissed his forehead and replied, "Yes, you have me. Always." After that night he didn't ask again. He was happy with what he had. He didn't need anything more. A few months later I got a letter at work. It was from the school. They wanted me to attend a parent meeting. Felt nervous. I had never been to a school meeting before. I didn't have nice clothes. I didn't know the other parents. But I went. The teacher was kind. She said, "Leo is a bright child. He listens well and is kind to others." Smiled. "Thank you," I said. She looked at me and added, "You're doing a wonderful job. He's lucky to have you." That night I cried a little. Not out of sadness, but from a soft, warm feeling in my heart. I didn't hear kind words often. Most days I was too busy. Working, cleaning, cooking, rushing. But that one kind sentence felt like sunlight. I wanted more for Leo. I wanted him to grow up with hope. So I started saving again. Little by little I made a plan. I wanted to move to a better apartment. Nothing big, just a place with more light, more space. A room where Leo could have a small desk to draw or read. Took me a full year. I said no to coffee, no to movies, no to new shoes. I only said yes to rent, food, and Leo. Then one day I signed the papers. I held the new key in my hand. The flat was still small, but the window was wide. The sunlight poured in every morning. Leo ran around and laughed. "It's so big, Mama," he said with joy. We placed his books on a low shelf. We made a small bed beside mine. I found an old table on sale, cleaned it carefully, and gave it to him. He called it his study table. That night I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling with a quiet smile. I had done it, not with help, not by luck, but with hard work, time, and love. A few weeks later I saw James again. I was walking Leo to school. James was crossing the street from the other side. He looked different, wearing a suit, holding a bag in one hand. He saw us and stopped. I wanted to keep walking, but Leo paused too. He stared at James. James looked at me, then at Leo. "Hi," he said gently. Leo looked up at me. James spoke again. "I'm James. I'm your father." Leo blinked and looked at me again. I took his hand and said softly, "Let's go. We're getting late." James took a step back but pleaded, "Wait, please. I just want to talk." I stayed silent. Leo looked confused. James continued, "I know I wasn't there. I made mistakes, but I think about him every single day. I want to know him." I knelt beside Leo and asked, "Do you want to say something?" Leo shook his head. I stood up and looked at James. "You walked away when he was little. He cried at night, and you weren't there." "I was." James nodded. "I know. I regret it," I said quietly. "Regret isn't enough. He needs someone who stays." James looked down. "I understand. I won't push. But if you ever change your mind, I'll be waiting." He nodded. "Thank you for saying that." Then we walked away. Leo held my hand tightly. He asked, "Was that really my papa?" "Yes," I said gently. "Why did he come now?" he asked. "Because he missed too much," I replied. Leo was silent for a moment, then said, "It's okay. I don't need him." I kissed the top of his head. "You are strong." He smiled and said, "Like you." That day I understood something clearly. I didn't just raise a child. I raised a boy who knew love, who had strength, who could forgive, but also protect his heart. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon. Red Heart.